Indiana's Attorney General fighting COVID-19 misinformation, calling out government officials for their, quote, misleading claims during the pandemic. Attorney General from the great state of Indiana, Todd Rokita, joins me now. AG Rokita, what are your main culprits?
Well, I'll tell you this, we got to prepare for the next pandemic or whatever's coming down the pike. And I put my faith in Hoosiers and Americans to make good decisions when they have good information. And the fact of the matter is, no one in their right mind should really, or in the back of their mind, can trust this data, because there was no criteria, standardized criteria for the healthcare providers to submit it in the first place. And there's really not been any substantive audit by the CDC. So for politicians to come out as they did and say, oh, this is good data, these hospitalizations are accurate, and these COVID deaths are accurate, I mean, no one in their right mind really can or should believe that, and we shouldn't forget it now. And so I'm going to pick up from an investigative, forensic and investigative perspective to make sure we find out exactly how these numbers were retrieved, how they were produced, how they were forwarded, and what criteria, if any, were used.
Yeah, they told us things unequivocally like vaccines stop the spread. No doubt about it. And when things actually came out in the wash, it turned out that that wasn't true. And you have a long list. We're not going to go through them individually here, but bigger picture. Did Washington, D.C. learn its lesson?
Well, does it ever? You know, we have to keep it accountable. It's supposed to be our government, and our government was taken away from us during this pandemic. And so I'm glad to be joined by, two esteemed doctors, epidemiologists that helped me with these comments that we wrote, to the CDC. We'll see if they actually see the light of day, pointing out all this misinformation. And the point is that leaders across the country shouldn't let this issue go. Because if they get away with it this time, they're going to try to do it again to us next time, and we have got to stop that.
Yeah, let's call it what it was. It was a massive federal power grab. Did that federal power grab during the COVID pandemic cause irreparable damage, or can we get those freedoms back, AG Rokita?
Well, we're going to try. And, that's a great question. They're slipping away, and unless we fight for it, we're going to lose them. And the first step in that is not to forget. And so we go back, and we're going to spend time, we're going to spend money looking into this data in Indiana, maybe in other places, to see how these hospitals and other healthcare providers collected this data, what criteria they used, if anything. I mean, if there's no standardized criteria when you're collecting the data, that's a big problem. If you're incentivized, like healthcare providers and hospitals were, to get more money if you reported a COVID infection or a COVID death, that's a problem. It at least has to be looked into. For politicians to blindly say, well, this data is perfect and we're going to make policy decisions off of it, is absolutely ridiculous, and the people know that. And so we're going to help the people not forget about this and make sure it doesn't happen the next time we have an emergency.
You give an inch, they take a mile there at the federal government. Got to get that mile back. AG Rokita, we appreciate your time and insight. Keep us posted on your work on this. We appreciate it.